All right, so yeah, I finally decided to get around to making this last video about my job fair trip out to Bangkok. Yeah, so now I'm back home in Hong Kong. I've actually been back home for about, 2 days now? And it's been about 5 days ago since I went to the job fair. Yeah, so my first videos, I sounded really, really nervous. Like it was really, really bad. And yeah, basically I was nervous because, well, I haven't had a, serious job interview. I also haven't, gone out to, major teacher job fair in quite a while. So, trying to, get myself all prepared, figuring out what I had to say, and being actually ready to go and put myself out there in that job fair. I haven't done that for a while, and as much preparation as I did for all this, I was, to be very frank, a nervous wreck. But actually, once the job fair rolled around on that Saturday, things actually went all right. When I was talking to all the different principals and HR people and other recruiters, I was actually quite calm. I was able to, calmly and coolly explain, you know, what I've been doing in the last year or so since I have been working. Also, despite certain things about my career that a recruiter might be concerned about, I was able to answer all these things nice and calmly without being negative. One of the tragedies of my own teaching career is that I ended up working in a lot of schools where yeah, sure, I got a paycheck. Yeah, sure, I got a job, but those schools were not exactly great. And the thing is that when you are in a school that's not so great, where what happens in the classroom doesn't come anywhere close to matching, all the nice things that the principal would say about the school, plus all the other things that you had to deal with that were quite unpleasant, and you had to deal with these things alone without any administrative support. And when you're working around a lot of people who are just, to be quite honest, lazy and corrupt careerists, it gets on your nerves. And also, it's like that old saying, hey man, we don't have a problem with you, but you know what? We can't roll with you because we don't like the company that you keep, And yeah, so having to explain all these things about, oh, why did you work at this school? Why were you only at these schools for like, such a short period of time, and all these other things. I was able to, calmly and politely explain all these things to potential recruiters. I was able to, pitch to them what are the skills that I have and whatnot. I was able to explain my teaching philosophy. I was able to describe, my teaching practice and how my classroom was. I was able to do all these things and keep it all positive. No, ragging or saying negative things about past employers or any of that stuff. So, I was very nervous about whether I was able to explain all these things. And you know what? When that Saturday rolled around, when I had to go through the job fair, the interview, and all that stuff, everything actually turned out all right. And to be very honest, it was actually very good practice, for when I do other interviews later on, because the hiring season for international school teachers, uh, October is still actually relatively early. Uh, you know, as November, December, and January rolls around, those are going to be I believe, the three prime hiring months. So now that I got this, time in Bangkok with this particular job fair under my belt, you know, I'm more or less ready. I feel much more ready, and I won't be as nervous as I go to other job fairs and do other job interviews and so forth. So, all in all, things in Bangkok went very well. I did the job fair. I also, you know, I went to different places in Bangkok and took a look around, and yeah, I was doing the bit tourist stuff and whatnot. Also, I managed to get quite a bit of work done uh, for the professional development courses I'm taking. Went sightseeing and all that other stuff. So, all in all, it was actually quite a good trip. And actually, I was actually tempted to stay in Bangkok another week or so. But the thing was that there's another job fair that I got to go up to in mainland China. I'll be heading up there tomorrow, so I can't just lounge around in Bangkok. Would have been nice, but gotta get back home, continue my work, which is my job search and doing my professional development courses, and gotta get ready and get ready to go to the next job fair, which will be um, next Saturday. No, not next Saturday. The upcoming Saturday, up in Guangzhou, and then the week after there'll be another one in Shenzhen. So hopefully things will get rolling and whatnot. So that's pretty much it for me. And yep, hopefully everything will turn out well. After all, I also went to a couple of temples in Bangkok and said my prayers and so on. Yep. So see y'all later.